The World Health Organization estimates that more than 6 million children under the age of 5 are dying every single year of preventable causes. These causes include malaria, diarrhea, poor sanitation, and malnutrition, problems that most Americans don't even have to think twice about, are killing children in developing countries because of poverty, because the victims don't have the knowledge or the resources to combat them. The statistics are overwhelming. The stories are heartbreaking. Perhaps you've heard of children who are forced to pick through garbage dumps for their meals. Entire villages that are suffering from disease because of contaminated water sources. For years, I've wondered what I could possibly do about poverty. I knew I needed to do something, because as a Christian, we are all called to help the poor and the needy. In 1 John 3:17, it says, "If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in them?" But it seems as if anything we would do would just be a drop in the bucket to the huge problem of poverty in our world. However, I have discovered a way to combat poverty that is simple, practical, and results in radically altered lives. I've discovered that we have to understand what poverty is before we can combat it. The first step to understanding poverty is to see how great a need it really is. Sometimes it's easy to ignore, but there are about 1.4 billion people out there living on less than $1.25 each day. But poverty is more than just a lack of money. It's a problem that affects education, society, spiritual things, the environment, and physical well-being. Dr. Wes Stafford, the CEO of nonprofit organization Compassion International, has said that the worst aspects of poverty are not the deplorable outward conditions, but rather the erosion and eventual destruction of hope and therefore of dreams. Poverty devastates self-esteem. It breeds despair and it spreads hopelessness. So how are we to fight back against poverty? We know that throwing money at it isn't the answer. That can't address the complexity of the problem. Only the truth of God can set people free. Did you know that children are the most responsive demographic to the gospel? In fact, it's estimated that more than 85% of all Christian conversions take place before someone reaches the age of 14. This means that if we can spread the gospel to children, they can spread the gospel to their friends and to their family members and start a ripple effect through their communities. Children are the perfect evangelists, and they're forces for change, not just today, but also in the future. Children today are tomorrow's professionals and leaders who can help lift their nations out of poverty. If we could rescue just a few million children from poverty, can you imagine what that would do for our world in the next few decades? But what is the best method of helping children escape poverty? There are many ways we could do this, but I found that child sponsorship is one of the most effective methods. It destroys poverty from the inside out. It connects one sponsor with one child who is living in poverty. It forges a relationship between the two. Compassion International has one of the most successful and reputable child sponsorship programs, and they've rescued about 2 million children from poverty so far. They have a holistic program that covers all those aspects of poverty I talked about, the educational, the social, spiritual, etc. They provide child development centers in areas of poverty where children can come and get the resources they need to combat poverty in their lives. A sponsor sends money over to these child development programs and corresponds with their child. This is why sponsorship has great benefits, not just for children in poverty, but also for those who are giving their money. I've been a sponsor with Compassion International for about 2.5 years, sponsoring a girl named Anita who lives in Ghana. She has benefited from the sponsorship by having Bible teaching and educational classes, clothes, food, etc. And I've benefited by receiving her letters and her drawings and knowing that she's praying for me and I'm praying for a real live girl out there. And it's a personal matter to me. Compassion has given me the chance to fulfill Christ's mandate to help the poor. Imagine the power of stepping into a child's life and telling her that you love her and that her Heavenly Father loves her, and giving her the chance to live a life beyond her wildest dreams. Compassion sponsors are rescuing children from exploitative labor and giving some of them the chance to be the first people in their families to attend universities. You too can change the life of a child in poverty. The fee is $38 a month. It's a sacrifice, and it's a serious commitment, but it's also about half of the average American cell phone bill. It can save a life. The rewards far outweigh the sacrifice. Matthew 10:42 says, "If anyone gives even a cup of water to one of these little ones because he is my disciple, I tell you the truth, he will certainly not lose his reward." Imagine the rewards of rescuing a little child from the grip of poverty. In the end, poverty is still a massive force of evil in our world, and it may seem like there's not much that you and I as individuals can do to help it. But by sponsoring a child today, you can give one boy or girl hope for the future, and they can give hope to their families, and their families can give hope to their community, and so on until we find that we are literally changing the world one child at a time. Follow Jesus Christ's heart today, and come see me at the back of the room at the compassion table, where I will have packets like this with information on children who desperately need sponsorship right now. If God has called you to sponsor a child today, please do not ignore the call. You could be a child's only hope.